Hi everyone. This week's Torah portions, Vayak'hel-Pekudei, culminate the book of Exodus and finish telling us the story of the creation of the Mishkan, the tabernacle, actual implementation in this week's Torah portions. One of the most important pieces in the tabernacle was the Ark of Covenant, and on top of it, the Kruvim. These two angelic beings, male and female, staring at each other, hovering on top of the Ark of Covenant, their wings spread over it to protect it. What are these depictions doing in the holiest of holies? Someone can misunderstand that to be idolatry. Isn't it so? What can we learn from them? In ancient Mesopotamia, they often had depictions of their gods riding on top of a chariot or on top of these winged creatures, fantastic creatures. And when you entered the Holy of Holies, you would see these angelic beings with wings were supposed to be carrying a god. But what struck you was that there is nothing on top of them. There is these two angelic beings, but the God cannot be seen. He's a transcendent God. He's an infinite God, and therefore he cannot be depicted. That was the biggest symbol for the infinity and unity of God, and the biggest stance against idolatry was the fact that there was no God on top of the chariot. Now, why male and female? Why are they looking straight at each other in the eyes and on top of the Ark of Covenant? The reason is because that symbolizes and represents the intimacy between man and woman, husband and wife. They are the ones on which the Shekhinah, the divine presence, God, drives and rides upon. When there's intimacy between man and woman, when they're looking at each other straight into the eyes, into each other's inner essence, not looking at themselves, then there is harmony. But there's one more thing that the Torah tells us. They were looking at each other, but simultaneously, in a miraculous way, they're also looking down on the Ark of Covenant. And with their wings, they're protecting the Ark of Covenant. Because there cannot be a selfless type of love if not that you have higher ideals and values on which the marriage stands on. That's why they are on top of the Ark of Covenant, on top of the tablets of the Torah, of their values. They're looking at their values, they're standing on top of the values and protecting them, and simultaneously looking at each other's innermost essence. That is the secret to a powerful and pure intimacy in marriage, is to look at each other, to hear each other out, but also make sure that our values are in check. And if we do that, then as it is described in this week's Torah portion, the voice of God speaking and communicating with us and with Moses in that instance comes from in between the two Kruvim, between the male and the female. When they are in harmony, when they are speaking to each other, when there's an open line of communication and trust, and they're building a home filled with values, God, first of all, is riding on top of that. You're allowing God to appear in this world. You're his vehicle. And God is speaking to you in between that relationship. Shabbat Shalom.